Oh, wow. We're here. I don't know what happened. I have no clue. My system just would not recognize my camera today. Can you all hear me now and see me? Give me a thumbs up. Tell me that you're there. All right, good deal. Panic mode. Hi, Robin. Hi, Sharon. Yeah, my new computer has went crazy. So sorry about that. Good to see y'all today. I've been playing with this stuff all day long, and it was working, but now it's not, or then it wasn't. So have no clue. So good to see you all. Hope you've had a good week so far. And now I'm sweating like a hog. Oh, well. Oh, Tracy, that's so sweet. That is so sweet. I'm glad you got it. Nothing's wrong with your dream machine. I'm glad that you got it fixed. So, yeah, I did just get a new computer, and we are trying it out, and we are playing with it. It has more power, but I was absolutely on panic mode. Colleen, happy birthday. It popped out. So good to see you. I'm glad you could join me on your birthday. Who knew? Let's see if I can move this in the right spot to where now we're not looking crazy at you. So hi, Sheila from West Virginia, and it's hot here in Collegedale. It is a warm day here today as well. But Sue, glad to see you here. Glad you could catch us live today. I guess it's a little bit crazy. So, all right. Today, somebody asked last week about Simply Applique, and yes, I did start that on. I installed that on my computer today. Today has been the day of computer glitches. I felt like one of my students today, I will have to say. I understand the frustration you all go through, because I'm sitting here copying my activation code from my other computer over to this one, and it wouldn't activate. The activation button wouldn't pop up. And I'm like, what have I done wrong? Because I just did initial stitch. It worked fine. So what happened? Well, I didn't fill in all the fields. I contacted my friend at Brother Support, and I said, what's the deal? I've got activations. Why isn't it working? And she's like, well, doesn't look like you filled in all the fields. And I said, okay. So now I have my stupid moment today, and I will just fully admit to that. I did a silly thing and didn't remember that that was there. So we're going to play a little bit with Canvas Workspace and with Simply Applique. Just so you know, anything that I do in Simply Applique, you can do in BES4. So BES4 has the Simply Applique module built into it. It is the same exact, the applique portion of it is the same. Simply Applique is a beginner program for somebody who's not ready to jump totally into BES4 or PE design, but it has quite a bit of little stuff in it, and it's got some really cute designs in it. So designs that we don't have in any other program. So we'll play with that. And we'll play with a little bit with Canvas Workspace because they interact together. Simply Applique is basically a program that will create appliques from Fcm files, which is absolutely awesome. It will export as I can't spit this out, as an FCM or as an SVG. So if you have a different cutting device than the Brother Scan and Cut, you can use that program with it as well. BES4 will do the same thing. So without further ado, let's go play. Let me share my screen, and we want to share the right screen. We want to go over to that one right there. Okay. And I'm going to make it just the screen itself. So here we are in Canvas Workspace. And if you all have forgotten, you have tons of little projects in Canvas Workspace. If you touch the little library button here, it will pop up the different items that are available for you to work with in Canvas Workspace. So these are all little projects that you can create. I said last year that I wanted to create that stuffed bunny rabbit toy, but you know, I haven't made that yet. I do think it would be a cute one to make, but I haven't done it. So there are tons of resources in here for you without you having to start from scratch. And I always suggest to scan and cut users to go in here and complete one of these projects as one of your first projects, because it's all done for you. There's a video to go with it. Let's grab this one for just a second and let's watch. See down here, it'll give you a video. Goes through the whole process. There is no sound to it besides music. It just walks you through the process of what you're doing. Right now, she's ironing on backing onto the back of her, it looks like felt. And then she's cut out her what are those things? Flamingos. And then she's cutting out whatever, the rhinestone template. So she's made a rhinestone template, and those are going to be the wings. And now she's pouring in the rhinestones. So if you've ever wondered how you use the rhinestone template, there you go. She's showing you exactly what needs to be done. Now, I'm not sure what she's tracing around it so that she knows where it can go on her flamingo. Isn't that kind of cool? And there you go. Then she's going to press it, and that's one side's done. So just letting you know that that's there. And the Get Recipe, that's a PDF file of how to complete the project. So it's really a nice feature there built in for you that you can look for. All of your pattern collections that you have. Now, I am working on the desktop version of Canvas Workspace. So mine may look a little bit different than yours if you're working on the web-based version of it. I personally prefer the desktop version. The only time I use the web version is if I need something to draw and to cut, and I don't have that option here on my desktop version. So as you can see, there are tons of little projects in here. Today, I am going to grab these little bunnies right here. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do something. So we're going to grab the basic card. That's your basic portion of it. They do have some really nice projects in there, especially if you're interested in doing a box and you've never done one before. I double-clicked on my zoom tool to bring it right up into the middle of my screen so you all can see it a little bit larger. And we're going to get rid of some stuff. So when I select that, let's see what happens when I press delete. Gets rid of the whole thing, and that's not what I want to have happen. I do want to get rid of all of the eggs, but we don't want to get rid of the entire design. So I'm going to tap it twice. I say that, and see how it's going to play nice with me here. Come on, give it to me. Ay, ay, ay. It is one of those days. Little black dots everywhere while I'm waiting on this to respond to me. So yeah, you do get little black dots everywhere. But what I've learned to do is I'll take a piece of tape and just grab those little dots and slide them off. All right, play nice with me here. There we go. All right, so I want to get rid of all of the Happy Easter. So I'm going to highlight those edit points, okay? Nope, you can't ungroup this one. And I'm going to press the minus button to get rid of those. And then I'm going to scroll around here down at the bottom and highlight all those and hit the minus button to get rid of those as well. This project is a single project. Now I can get rid of, I'm going to grab my bunnies and I'm going to cut those. So I've double tapped and grabbed those. I'm going to cut those out for a second. Now I can delete the last part. Now I can paste that back down. So I'm left with all my bunnies. But what I want is I want for these to be divided up into single bunnies instead of a whole group. So here's your cheater's trick. Because right now they're one item. We're going to grab it and put a little square around the outside edge of it. Earlier, I did this with just grabbing part of them, but I think this will work for all. This button down here on your Edit tab is Divide. When you punch that, it should divide that whole thing up. I should have one there. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to select it all. I'm going to select it all, and then I'm going to touch Divide. Notice how it divided my little bunnies up? Let's see if it would do that without my square. I don't think so, but we can see. Oh, what do you know? I didn't have to even add the square. So there's my divide, and now I have 3 separate bunnies. And the reason I did the divide is so that they would be 3 separate items when I got them into Simply Applique or into BES4. So now we're going to export those FCMs. We're going to choose File, Export Transfer FCM File, and we're going to export that FCM file, and we're going to call it Bunnies. I've already done it once today, so we'll just go ahead and save. Yes, I want to replace that file. All right. Any questions so far? We good? Any burning needs? No? All right. So I wish Ungroup would work, but Ungroup does not work for that. So let's go over to our Simply Applique. Here's my Simply Applique, and I'm going to click on the Application button and choose Import FCM File. When I do that, it will take you to your computer, and you can choose where your files are. I have mine in a Brother Canvas Workspace folder, and we're going to select Bunnies and click Open. Now, if I click my plus sign here, you'll notice that all of my bunnies are individual. If I had not divided them up, it would not have given me the 3 individual bunnies. So that's just letting you know why I did what I did. And I can show you that explicitly here in just a minute. I'll go back and undo what I did where I divided them and show you that. So same as BES4, when you touch your Tools tab, you'll see what you've got. Convert to Applique is your button. You have Satin Stitch, Blanket Stitch, Motif, and Run. So satin is your basic satin stitch, and you can adjust how thick that satin is. A blanket stitch is your general hand applique stitch that you're used to seeing. You also have a motif stitch, and there are quite a few motifs in here. Not as many as there are in BES4, but you have, looks like what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like there's 10. Let me minimize the screen here a little bit so we can see them all. Yep, there's like 10 of them. So if you select a different one and click Apply, it will automatically apply it. You also have a run. The run can be a single run, it can be a double run, or a bean stitch. So in BES4, it's the style. When you choose run, you then go down and choose style, just so you guys know that. And that is what that does. Now, if you want to add parts to this, let's go ahead and create appliques for all of them, and we'll make them all different colors. So let's say I want to change my covering stitch color. There are 3 colors to every applique, and if you click the plus sign here, you'll notice 1, 2, 3. I'm going to change my colors to Brother Embroidery so I don't have to deal with as many colors, okay? And if I touch the 3rd color tile, that's my covering stitch, and I can change that to, let's say, yellow. All right, when I click the 3rd covering stitch of the next one, we can change that one. Let's say we want to do it orange. And I'm going to show you how to do the last one a little bit differently. If you don't want to go into your sequence view window, you can click on a color tile and you can choose color 3 because that's the covering stitch, and it will automatically change it. All right, now I want a tail for my bunny here. I want a tail and some eyes for this one, and I want some eyes and maybe a tail on this one. So let's see what we've got in our stash of designs that we can use to add that. You go to Add Designs, and we're going to choose our accent designs. You have accents, applique shapes, and split designs in here. There are some accents here that aren't anywhere else in the BES lineup. So we could use the owl to get eyeballs. We could use the lion here. The lion may give us the best of both worlds because we could probably get a fluffy tail out of that too. And that looks like that looks good. So let's grab, where was that lion? Here we go. Let's grab our lion and click him and put him on the page. All right. So if I want to grab my eyeballs, I go into my sequence view window. This I know is the nose, and this is the tie-offs for the nose. That's part of the nose, and that's part of the eyes. So as you grab things, if you click on items, you'll notice they get squares around them to show you what they are. If I want to take that and drag it down here to give myself an eye on my bunny rabbit, voila, I have it. If you want to duplicate, you can right mouse click and choose copy and paste. And then you can drag that over to the next bunny, and you can paste it again. I don't want eyeballs on this one. I'm going to put him, we're going to make him a tail. So now I've got 2 eyeballs. I'm going to grab the nose here. So these are my nose pieces. Bring it down here. And we're going to make that a little bit bigger. And we're going to ignore the message because we're going to change that stitch. If we click up here where it says pattern standard, you can then choose a different pattern for the tail. And let's change that to like a light yellow. You want to see what it looks like in realistic view? So there it is with that different pattern. We can come in and choose a different one. Let's see if we can find one that we really like. Let's see what snake skin looks like on him. I like snake skin for that one. So now we've got his tail. You could play with that more. We're going to copy that tail and we're going to paste it. And I'm going to move it over here and rotate it. So this little circle right here is your rotation tool. Now, what happens if I don't want that applique satin stitch to stitch underneath my tail? I'm going to shrink it a little bit because that looks like a monster sized tail for that little bunny rabbit. Now it looks like a little, okay, let's get it in between here. All right, so I'm going to right mouse click on this and we are going to choose remove overlap stitches. And we're going to take that distance down to 0 so that anything underneath it is totally removed. Now, if I move my tail away, you'll notice that those stitches are removed from underneath there. Let's undo and put it right back where it was. And now we can get rid of, but we're going to have to do this in the sequence view window. We can get rid of this right here, I think. No, we don't want to get rid of the body, the tail. We want to get rid of not the first eye, the second eye. And then it looks like I've got a little line and another little line. So now you're left with your actual design, and you can you can move things around in the order that you want them. So I would want this to sew with my yellow bunny. So I'd take it up and drag it up underneath the yellow bunny. Move. You little ornery cuss. Right mouse click when it won't go where you want it to go. Let's see here. Nope, it won't let me do that. So I'm going to drag this one down. There we go. And I want this eye, not both of them. Which one's the first eye? Okay, so that one stays there. We want this one to go up to this bunny. But it didn't go. So let's take it up there. There we go. And then we can move this one in front of it. Maybe. Play nice with me, you little ornery thing. There we go. So now you've got everything sorted except for that tail. And that tail is actually with the bunny that it needs to go. Yeah, I did not color sort. There's not a color sort in this program. If I were in BES4, there is a color sort, but I did not color sort because I want those eyes to stitch with their corresponding bunny. Okay, so I'm going to come back and do some questions here. Can I do the same in PE Design 10? I would do it a little differently in PE Design 10. I don't have 10 on this computer, but I can show you what I would do in PE Design 11. So let's see here. Sandra has a question here. Last week I said to decrease the density in BES number, you put a yes. In a purchase design, you would have to convert it to outline in order for it to be able to adjust the density in BES4. In BES4, yes, the higher the number, the less dense the design. The lower the number, the more dense the design. Okay. Where is the best place to buy BES4? It would be from a brother dealer. That's the only people that carry it. I'm surprised your local brother doesn't carry it. But you have to find, it's a brother dealer product and it is dealer only. So I don't know where you're located, but if you indicate where you're located, I'll see if I can find a dealer that's near you that's not, if your dealer won't order it in. Ask them if they'll order it in, whether they carry it or not. All right. Let's see here. So if I wanted to do the same type thing in PE Design, I would do it a little differently. So let me go into my PE Design. Oh, my dongle's not plugged in over here. Hang tight a second. Let me take it off the other computer. Yeah, a lot of times they just don't keep a lot of software in. They will order it in for you. So let me retry this. Okay. It's popping up for us, but I've got to put it on the other screen. Oh, it actually went over there automatically. Sweet. All right, so let's see here. Let me show my screen again. All right, so we're in PE Design 11 now. For this one, you would go to your Scan and Cut tab, and you would click Import. And we want to choose where our design is located. Mine's not in my documents. It's on my data drive here. And it's in Canvas Workspace Files. I'll click OK. And here is my bunnies. I'm going to import those and close it. These are grouped. So if I don't want them grouped, I'm going to right mouse click and choose Ungroup so I can play with it. Now, they are automatically in stitches. They are automatically a run stitch, and it is in the applique material color. You'll notice that the thread chart is wiped out and applique material is your color. That's because it came in from Canvas Workspace. Now, we could grab them all at the same time, and then we could go to our Home tab and we could choose Applique Wizard. If you were in 10, I think you have to do them individually. In 11, I can pop them all and do them one at one time. So let me change my hoop size to something that will fit this. How about we choose this one? And let's rotate it 90 degrees. Looks like I can go smaller. I know it's bigger than a 5x6, but we'll try that one. Okay, Applique Wizard. When you bring it up, you can either choose to add it or replace it, depending on the design itself. If it's a design that's already in fixed stitch format, that means a design that's already created that you've purchased from someplace else, and you don't have the editing options. The only thing you'll be able to do is add. If it's something that you're creating from an Fcm file, you can replace. And for this one, we want to replace. You can choose your tack down stitch. I personally like a zigzag stitch. You can choose your covering stitch. If you choose an E stitch, that is your blanket stitch. A V stitch is like an invisible blanket stitch, and then you have the chain stitch option. Once you have it completed, you can actually change the stitch to anything that you want for an applique, just so you know. Your width is how wide you want the zigzag width to be. It's your satin stitch. Don't go below 2.5 millimeters. And I do this in millimeters. Metric is a much more precise measurement when it comes to your digitizing efforts. If I want to know the size of something, obviously I switch to inches because I don't think in metric, but I've learned to do my software in metric because there's fewer numbers I have to remember. 3 millimeters is, we're going to leave it at that, and we can choose the default density, which is like 4.5 or 5.0. It depends on how dense you want your density to be. If you ever want to go back to the default, you can touch the default button and that takes you back to the default. If you plan on using this with your scan and cut machine, you want to leave applique material in. Click OK. Your appliques have automatically been created for you. Now, for this one, I don't have to go pull things off another design. I'm going to show by color order so you all can see how things are set up here. Here are the different parts for all of my appliques. If I want a eyeball in here, I'm going to grab my circle drawing tool. I'll choose a satin stitch as my fill stitch type and turn off my outline to choose not sewn. And then I can simply just draw myself a little oval or a circle, whatever you want. And we can change that color. You can come over here and do it. You can right mouse click and choose a different color, or you can click on this color tile button here and choose a different color. Any of those will work. So if I come in and hold my control key down and drag, that creates a duplicate there. And I'm going to come in and drag that over and make a bigger circle for my tail here. And we'll change that stitch to, you can do a programmable fill stitch for this one. That would be fun. So I'm going to change the color of that tail just so you all can see that programmable fill. If you want a different fill, you go to your sewing attributes, and where it says programmable fill, you'll see the current fill. Click on that big tile, and then you can come in and pick something else. That one right there should give us a pretty random look, and you'll notice it does. That's kind of a cool little weave to a tail. If you want to come over and put it in this, oops, we want to duplicate that. So I want to hold my control key down and drag it over, or you can copy and paste, whatever works for you. That is your, whatever your preference. Now, I'm going to shrink that in a little bit. And if the remove overlaps will not work for this particular process, but there is a trick that you can do to remove that covering stitch. You're going to have to do it to both parts of it. So it's this bunny right here, right? So if I click on the bottom piece, first I need to ungroup it. So I'm going to select that, right mouse click and ungroup. Now I can play with it. So if I click this, I double clicked it, or you can click on it and click on this, the select patterns icon, and then click the select point tool. I'm going to add a point right here just by clicking on the line, and I'm going to add a point right here by clicking on that line. And then I'm going to right mouse click and choose split at point. Once I do that, I can then delete the extra points underneath there. So now that part should be open. And if we look at it in our sewing order window, you'll notice that that part is open. Let's do the same thing for our covering stitch. So I'm going to select it, click the select patterns icon, select point tool. Once again, I'm going to add a point right here so that I don't have a gap, and add a point down here, right mouse click, split at point. And then I can select the point and, ooh, undo. That one didn't do what I wanted it to do. So let's undo that. That should have been correct. So undo, oh, I know what I did. We're going to split at point. And then I want to come grab this. That's still doing the wrong thing. Weird. Okay. Show, let's undo that. Got an idea? We'll split it at point here. Split at point. Now, come grab them, delete. There you go. And that one needs to come up just a little bit further into the window, into the yellow. I could have either extended the yellow, or I could have smushed the pink down. If you want to change your covering stitch colors, you select the piece that's the covering stitch, which would be the third one on each one. Go to the color tab, change it from applique to whatever thread palette you like. I like Brother Embroider because there's simply 60 colors in here for me to mess with. I am lazy that way. If you want a specific color palette, you can always grab a specific color palette. I personally like the Brother Embroidery thread chart, as I said, because I'm lazy. And there you go. You've made your 3 bunnies in the same manner. Now, I'm going to come up here and answer some questions. So in both programs, after I've created my design, I would then export my FCM file again because the size of the FCM may have changed when it got created as an applique. That way you know that your design is going to match your FCM file. If you do it based on the original FCM file, it may not match up. So that's my personal opinion, and that's what I advise you to do. Let's see here. What have we got? Not anything to do with this either, but you're wondering what kind of surge protection you use for. I do have a surge protector. I have one that's a shop protector. I have enough surge protectors in this room to light up a stadium. If it's going to storm here, I unplug them. If I'm leaving, I unplug them. It's just, that's my safety mechanism. And, generally we don't have a lot of power outages unless there's a storm coming. If your area is prone to that, I would look for one for TVs and electronics, just like at your local electronics store. They generally have better ones than you would find at a discount store. Tina, P Design does not have everything that's in BES4. P Design is a complete digitizing program. It has a database in it to where you can organize your designs and search for designs. It has a stitch creation program in it that allows you to create your own stitches to use with the software. BES4 does not have that. It has the import from FCM, the convert to applique. It has word collage, which P Design does not. There's quite a few differences between the two. The fonts in BES4 are absolutely lovely. There's some things that I prefer to do there and some things that I prefer to do in P Design. It just depends on what I'm doing as to which program I go with. In P Design, to reduce density, you go up in number. To reduce density, you go down in number. It's the opposite of BES4, if you can remember that. That was the hardest thing for me to get used to. In most programs, you're dealing with a point something number. And if it's a point something number, you go up in number to decrease density. Because it is increasing this. Let me see if I can say this right. To go up, it reduces because it's increasing the space between the stitches. To go down, you go down, and to increase the density, you go down in number because it's decreasing the space between the stitches. In P Design, the opposite is true. It's a number point. So that one's telling you that if you're increasing the number, you want to go up because it is decreasing the space between the stitches. It's weird, but they are opposite. And that's when you have to wrap your brain around and just kind of deal with it. P Design is opposite of any other program I've ever used. But I learned in PE Design, so that was hard for me to go to the other one. But once you get it in your head and know which direction you're going, this program, you go up in number, in P Design up in number, in BES4 down in number to increase density. It's just the opposite of what you would think. Let's see here. So Karen asked why sometimes using an applique, the add replace options are grayed out. I'll show you why. That's one that I can actually show. All right, so I'm going to choose new page here. And let's see here. If I grab a shape and it's here, when you go into, same as an FCM file, when I go into my Applique Wizard, both add and replace are an option. Okay, you'll notice around my design, there are no dashed lines. That means it's an original design that has been created here in P Design in layout and editing. That's essential too, in layout and editing. So it's native to this platform. However, if I go into my import menu and it's not an outline shape, if it's from the design library or something that you've purchased, when you bring it in and you try to use the Applique Wizard, add, replace, or grayed out. The only thing that you can do with a design that has a black dash line around it is to add it to it. It will automatically pop it up there. That's the difference between the two. So this is like doing an applique on your Dream Machine or your Luminaire or a 6 needle or a 10 needle. It automatically adds it around the outside edge. Or even the Stellaire does that, okay? So that's what the applique button on the machine does, and that's what the applique button for here does. If you want it, there are other options that you can do, but that's why it's grayed out, okay? Black dash lines mean that it is in fixed stitch format, and anything in fixed stitch format cannot be converted directly to an applique. It will add it to it. Does that make sense to you, Miss Karen? So that's the way that it works. Okay, removing overlaps in PE design is different than it is in BES. BES lets you do it to things, and both of them let you do it to things that you've created, but BES4 has a special thing in it that allows you to do it for appliques. So in PE design, that split at point will let you remove some things if it's a line, if you're trying to get a line out from underneath something. To use remove overlaps, it has to be 2 items that you've created in layout and editing. So once again, let me come over here and show you what I mean. And it won't work with designs that are in fixed stitch format. So if I came in here and I tried to remove overlaps from these 2 items, that's going to be a no-go. If I go into my, you'll notice modify overlap is not even there. It can only be done with things that are native to this platform. So if I go into my shapes menu and let's say we pick a bunny and put it over the top of it. Don't ask me why I'm in bunny mode today. I have no idea. All right, we're going to make a red bunny and a yellow sun behind it. Or the peace sign, whatever you want to think of that as. If you select both of them, you'll notice that modify overlap is there now. So if I choose remove overlap, it will now remove that overlap. But it has to be something that's native to layout and editing. It will not do it for something that is in fixed stitch format. That's the difference. Now, if you want to take the chance, let me undo everything here. Let's just undo and get back to no remove overlaps. And delete our bunny here. If you want to take the chance, you can go up to your Stitches tab and you can say convert to blocks or convert to outline. Convert to blocks is going to be your better choice if you want to try to keep the stitches looking like they do. Click OK when that pops up, and then you can bring this over here. 11 does a much better job of this than any other program that we've ever had. I will tell you that. Now, if I select all, my modify overlaps is there. Let's choose remove overlaps and see what happens. Now, sometimes if this works, okay, so it did. Now let's grab it. Let's grab all these parts right here. And let me move them out of the way. We're going to select them and we're going to group them so that I can move them out of the way. And then I'll bring that same design back in since I didn't change it. Which one is it? This one? And then you can put the original, you could copy and paste it and hang on to it. But then you could put it right back in the same spot to where it is in the original. It's the original design is still there, but you've tricked the software into thinking that design is native to the program. Okay. Do I need to do that again? Do I need to show you that little tricky do again? Because that is a tricky one. Since it wasn't native and I wanted the original design to sew out like the original design, I brought it back in. So I'll show you one more time how to do that just so you can kind of get the idea and you'll have it in your heads. So let me select it all and we'll delete it and we'll just start with a plain old circle here. I'm going to draw my circle. All right. And I'm going to double click and bring my design into the design window. So Here's my design. Now, this time I'm going to copy it. That way it will be sitting out there on my clipboard and I won't have to worry about getting it in the right spots. So since I've got them arranged the way I want them, let's change that color to something lighter here. Ooh, that's neon. All right. So if I try it right now, modify overlaps is not there. Did I copy that yet? I don't know. I'm going to click the copy button again just in case. So I've got this design here selected. I'm going to go to my Stitches tab and I'm going to choose Convert to Blocks. I'm going to click OK. And now it's been converted to blocks. Now I can select the whole design by drawing around it, everything on my screen, modify overlap, remove overlap. And it's going to take it a few minutes here to do its thing, and it's going to remove this undersewing from underneath that. Whatever's underneath those flowers now will be removed. And you're going to have a tiny ton of these little pieces here. So we're going to select them all. Click the select button and we'll just touch delete to get rid of them. Now we can paste back onto the screen the original design and it's ready to go. Okay. Let me come down here. All right. Let me come back up and let's answer some more questions. Since we are talking appliques, you use heat and bond to applique my fabric to match pack. It did not work and was a mess. Okay. What I have learned from heat and bond is that you must really, really melt it to your fabric. If you don't, you will have issues. What kind of a mess did you get? Were you trying it with a scan and cut, or were you just trying to adhere it to something? I've learned that heat and bond is one of those products, and depending on what version it is, heat and bond light, heat and bond whatever, you do have to make sure it's well melted to your fabric. If you think it's there, go back and do it again, because my experience has been it doesn't melt at the temperature that you think it's going to melt. You think it's on and it's not. Okay. Yes, I converted the flower into blocks. Not the first. I grabbed that flower. I copied it and it stayed up here in La La Land out there on my clipboard waiting for me to paste it back down. The flower that was sitting there, I then went to my Stitches tab and I chose Convert to Blocks. Then you can select all and then you can modify overlaps. Judy, no, those aren't. Your basics are in the P Design User Manual. Your advanced techniques, no. They write this software for us and they have no idea how we want to use it. So that's just my workaround. Other people may do it a different way. That's one of those things that I've learned that's an easy way to do it. There is another way that would not do as many parts, just so you know, but may not be quite as precise. And I'll show you that one again. Yeah, so I would suggest watching it over a few times, and that will get you what you need, give it to you. So I'm going to start over again, and we'll try this one more time a different way and see if we like it this way. It may be easier. It may not. I'm thinking out the top of my head here today. So here's my original design. Once again, I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. And on my Stitches tab, instead of Convert to Blocks, let's see what Convert to Outline does. I'm going to convert the whole to an outline because I don't really care. Remember, I've got my original design standing out there in La La Land. We'll see if this one does as well. So we won't have as many parts to deal with if I do this. Grab it all, modify overlap, remove overlap. Now, take this out and delete it. And then let's paste that one back down. Not too bad. There are a few more gaps in this one than were in the other one. So you'll notice that there's a little bit of gappage there. You could trick the software with that by increasing your pull compensation. So if you come down here and increase that pull compensation, it should take up those spaces. We may have to do a little bit more. And you could always take your original design and move it a little bit further up. Nope, you can't, because that messes it up. So the most precise way to do it is the first method. Okay. All right, so let me come back up here. You were here. Oh, contact me. You were adhering it to the patch itself. I usually cut a circle of the size of my patch, and I place it on the back of it, and then I press it. And I have some kind of a pressing cloth underneath it. Did you have the wrong side to your wax paper, perhaps? I have no idea. Cindy? I don't think I thought of that until somebody just asked that question. I don't think I thought of that one. I have to be honest, you know. So this is a good video for you to watch, because I don't know that I've documented that anywhere. It's just, you know, somebody asked the question, and that's what the way my brain works. There's so much in that manual that if you put it all together, you could come up with that, but it's not laid out there in a specific lesson. I hesitate to make any suggestions on what you apply things with. I have used pretty much every applique adhesive product out there, and it depends on how strong of a bond you want and how much iron time you like. Since and like I said, I try not to specifically name names. There are a couple that I don't care for, but yeah, that's one of those that I'd hate to mislead you for something that's not yours. What I would suggest: get an old pair of jeans or go down to your local thrift shop and find something that's denim and play with different ones till you find something that you like. Okay. I'm not sure what she did. You are most welcome. Y'all ask good questions, and when you ask good questions, and I have good answers, or sometimes I do. I won't say that always. Sometimes that they don't work. But I'm willing to experiment with you. And that one was one of those that just kind of popped into my head that could work. I could not convert the flowers back to the original. It's easier to copy it before you start, because if you undo, you're going to undo your remove overlaps. So copying it or importing it again is your best method of doing that. So you ironed it directly to the fabric, and then you ironed it onto what you wanted it to go on. And it didn't adhere, or it made a gluey mess? Was it the super ultra stuff, or was it the light? What are we talking about? I've never had that experience. Now, I've had an experience where it didn't stay on my fabric when I was trying to cut it with the ScanNCut. That's why I tell you to adhere it. When you think it's on there and it's good, adhere it again. You don't want to see any bubbles on it behind it. You use the sticky attached to the fabric, and then you ironed. Okay, what kind of a mess did you get? So you left your release paper on there till you were ready to put it to the other piece, I'm assuming. I've never had it stick to anything. I don't use wax paper. I'll use freezer paper sometimes. I will also usually I use an applique pressing sheet, and I'll have a piece of it below it and a piece of it above it, so that if it's going to stick to anything, it's going to stick to the pressing sheet, and then it can be peeled off. Make sure that it's the size of your patch or a little bit smaller than it. Let me see here. Definitely no damp press cloth, okay? No wax paper, pressing cloth, applique pressing cloth, like the, what am I trying to say? I'm not allowed to say, it's a no-stick pressing cloth. I'm not allowed to say certain names. So make sure you're using a no-stick pressing cloth. Okay. Let's see here. And it was a heavy twill. So yeah, a no-stick pressing cloth. That's your best bet. And go at it from the back of the fabric. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we have? So I have, Tina, my BES4 book. Let me see here. It's Lettering So Easy, and it does cover BES4. That's what it is. Lettering So Easy for BES4. The coupon code is still good today. I'll extend it. I just really hadn't thought of it. My my Digitizing So Easy book is what I am selling for version 10 and 11. Thanks, Karen. That's the word I'm not allowed to say. So, a non-stick pressing cloth. So, yeah, for applique. That's what I use. I can pull one. Hold on. I've got one right behind me. I have two different varieties. I have a tan one and I have a white one, and nothing will stick to them. So that's what I suggest. So the Digitizing So Easy workbook, I'll pop you up a coupon code for that one today too. There you go. And that is not active right now because it wasn't active last week. I have never used that product ever, so I have no idea. I've never tried to do that. Yeah, I understand not wanting it to fray, and I like I said, I've had very good luck with the light version of most of them. And it depends on what you're trying, how heavy you want it to be. Are you going to stitch it after? Or is that the only thing that you're going to have adhering it to your project? Yeah. Yeah. Oops. Exactly. But Mid-South Crafting is my supplier for most items. So they are great. If you haven't ever checked them out, they have tons of stuff that's really cool. All right. So no, you don't. It will bleed over to that, but it will peel off of that. So that's the nice thing about the non-stick pressing cloths, is that even if you iron it to it and the adhesive comes off onto it, it will peel away. You had a nice little mess. You've had an experience that I haven't had, so I don't know. Maybe you got a bad batch of adhesive. That's about all I can say. And if you contact me privately, I'll talk to you a little bit more about other things that I do, but I can't do that on a live, just simply because I could get in trouble. Okay, guys, I guess we are about done today. Yes, I use those vinyl with my heat press. I use it for my heat transfer vinyl, and that's where I went behind the screens here and grabbed it off my heat press. So I had two of them sitting there. I also have pillows for my heat press. So those are my lifesaver. All right, guys. Any other questions for today? If not, then I'm going to pop up the Lettering So Easy code one more time. And hold on. I do have an announcement. Let me see here. Let me search. And Angela and I have an Embroidery 102 class. And here it is. Let me put it on a banner here for you. because I forgot to. Oh, actually, I did remember to do that. Oops, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to have to create the banner. And coupon code. Because it's a different one this time. This time we are doing towels and small text. So here you go. And that is March 17th, I believe. So thank you, whoever reminded me of that. Thank you, because you know my brain doesn't know. It's March 19th. So let me double check my calendar over here on this other computer to make sure, because it's got my calendar. You know, it would be hard to have everything at the same. Yep, March 19th at 11 a.m. my time, 12 Angela's time. So it's a Friday. Oh, she says it's 100% embroidered patch. There's a product. Contact me. It's specifically made for something that's 100% embroidered. Otherwise, you will melt your thread. What an ucky mess that is. Yes. So you need a lighter, something that will adhere with less heat. Okay. And so contact me later. Tina, you just embroidered on a shower curtain. Congratulations. That's lots of fun. Was it cool? Was it fun? Oh, sorry. I keep hitting the wrong one. Badgemaster won't attach. It will only allow you to, Oh, it did take off the coupon code. Hold on. We'll make that one scroll. Let me edit it and we'll make it a scrolling banner. There you go. Now. Oh, well. Hold on. There you go. Now let's try it. Y'all, what would I do without y'all keeping me on track here? There you go. So, sorry about that. Whoops. Save 10 is your coupon code. So join us. It's always lots of fun. Let's see here. I don't have my pretty towel stitched out yet. All I had in the house when I did this was this one. So this is what we are going to make. 5x7 hoop would be a requirement for this one to be able to stitch it out, because otherwise you would only be able to use Brother software. But you can do it for other things besides towels. So we're going to be talking small text and stabilizers and all that kind of fun stuff again. So, all right, guys. Any other things that I've forgotten? Y'all keep me on track here. So Tana says, don't forget the class with Angela. They are amazing too. Yes. So Angela and I have lots of fun together, and we both kind of bounce ideas off each other. And one of us generally will think of something that the other didn't, just so you know. We are kind of fun that way. And we actually both love to teach, and we enjoy each other's company. So I think you guys will have a fun time with that. All right. So Tina, give me a few seconds to make sure that the coupon code is active on my website for you. And I'm glad you all enjoyed today and had a good time and learned a few things. The P Design 11 book is the same as P Design 10. I am working on a supplement for that. But Lord, y'all, my life is crazy. I'd love to tell you I have a date that it'll be finished, but I don't. The basics are the same in both versions. The edit area just got rearranged just a tiny bit, more logical in 11 than it is in 10. So that's just kind of giving you that little tidbit of information. I will be writing the new features, and so I'm working on it. But like I said, my life is nuts between going to Dad's and trying to keep up with them and trying to keep up with what I have to do for Brother. Things just. Sometimes my stuff gets put by the wayside, and preparing for these things. So you know, it is kind of what it is. Hopefully you're getting enough information from me on these Tuesdays that it keeps you going on your software. Monster hoops. I don't know what those are. Are you talking about magnetic frames? I use magnetic frames. I use the Brother magnetic frames, and I use the other brands. But I love my Brother magnetic frame. Yes, Lois, you need to get P Design 11. You can do a satin stitch already in P Design 10, but you can do, there's so many fun things that you can do with 11 that has given us a, and it's really, they've given us some tools that have absolutely made life so much easier. I will have to say, I love the 11. It basically expanded my world. And if you're not ready to buy another machine, 11 is a good way to keep that older machine for a little bit longer, and just to kind of expand its capabilities by adding software. Sharon, it's nowhere near being done, let me assure you. So if I could just take these videos that I've done and pop them over there and have them transcribed instantly and the screenshots popped in, we'd be done by now, but that doesn't happen. So unfortunately, oh, you have BES4. Okay. Yeah, that would give you that capability of creating your own designs from scratch and having fill stitches. So that you do need a full digitizing program to do that. I can work around a lot of things, but it is easier if you have digitizing programs. All right, guys, you guys have a great rest of the day. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of the week too.